In this lesson, we're going to go ahead and continue where we left off, sculpting the front part of the torso. Alright, so I'm going to be using a couple images here, mainly this one, just to give me some guidelines as far as where to place the abs and just some breast separation. And the shape of her hips are nice. I'm also going to be using this image here from the back to have an idea. We're not going to focus too much on the back, but I am going to start adding a little bit of the detail. And it has some important shapes for us to keep in mind. As you can see, these nice curves. So it comes in, goes out, comes in. So it's a really nice S that you can see in there. And I'm also going to be using this image here for the ribs. Now, she's lifting up her arms, and that is why the ribs are so apparent in this case, because some muscles are pulling, the intercostal ones, for one. But I also like it because it shows me the separation of the breasts and gives me just a good idea of what I am shooting for. So I have all these images here on my right side monitor. And I also have this image here. It's a beautiful image of a sculptor. I do believe he's Russian or Polish. And I just found that his structure was absolutely beautiful because you can see how the ribs come in and go out into the external obliques. You can see very clearly the pectoralis coming out that way. It's just beautifully structured. So this is something that I want to sort of shoot for as far as what I am pleased with as far as looks go. So in any case, let's give it a go. And first thing that I'm going to do is to smooth out a little bit of these breasts, like so. And I feel like I need to pull them out a little bit more. I just something about their shape is not necessarily speaking to me that much. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to try to give this a little bit of a tip and smooth it and round it and smooth it until we get to somewhere where we are happy with how it looks. Something like that. I think it's also time for us to actually Z-remesh this thing for real and start dividing. So let's go ahead and go to geometry. Just do Z-remesh same here. And it should calculate into a nice little base mesh for us. Gives us a couple of poles there, but that's completely fine, I think. I think if we do Z-remesh again, it might get rid of those poles. No, not the case. If you hold Alt and hit Z-remesher, it uses a different algorithm, and that may get rid of it. See, that looks a lot cleaner, but it's not quite there. So I'm going to undo and then turn adaptive off. Try again. This is just the basic workflow of Z-remesher, just trying lots of different operations to see if you get the result that you want. And this is okay. I don't like the poles on the middle, but for now, that's fine. And then I'm just going to turn the Dynamesh off because it is no longer a Dynamesh. And let's divide this. So divide it once. That means I can start smoothing some of this stuff out. I'm going to smooth these legs. And I'm also going to join the legs down here. If you remember from the previous course, the adductors go under there. And they actually are pretty important to getting the silhouette right down there. So let's make sure that this is nice and smooth. I don't want too much information leaking in here. Just gonna cut this in here with the Damien standard brush. Nice clean cut, and that's gonna give us a nice starting point. Okay, so first things first. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of ribcage. Okay, so let's remember that we are going to have one rib coming down here. Okay, and then you will have another one coming down here. And all of these are going to be surrounded by this little nice arch from the rib cage. Okay, and then right there, add another one. And this is important just because we can smooth this down after that, and it's still there, but it's much softer now, and it gives us a little bit more of a dynamic look to our sculpt. Now I'm going to lower the breasts here, and I'm going to sort of point them a little bit towards the inside. Basically, I'm flattening both these ends so that the volume rests here. So this is a lot of volume, and then over here it's going to be flatter. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing this down, as you can see. What that's going to do is it's going to give me a nice pointy crest, which I think looks nice and natural, more importantly. So that looks okay. Again, clay brush, lazy mouse, lazy radius 1. Those are the settings that I prefer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of detail to this area of the abs. I'm going to grab the standard brush here and just going to add the navel. I'm going to look at the side here and see if I'm close. A little bit off. It's a little bit higher. It's a little bit like here, I'm guessing. And what I do is I dig in with the standard brush. I smooth the bottom, and then I pull out on the top, like so. It's simple stuff, but it gets you a simple little belly button there. And I'm just going to pinch it so it's a little smaller, and then again go in and redo the cut. Need a little bit more geometry to make it look nice, but this here serves as a good landmark for us, even if it's fairly soft. Now, you should never do abs symmetrically, but it's fine to block them out. So this is what I'm going to do. And basically, you want a divider, right? Just between these abs here, where your belly button is going to be. I'm just going to say this is going to be the belly button. And right on top of that, I'm going to have abs. And then right here, I'm going to have abs as well. Like so. And you can see how it instantly already sort of creates the belly button right there. It allows you to sort of have a nice separation right here, basically. Like that. Which you can smooth out, like so. And immediately start sculpting on top of. So something like this. And I want to sort of make a cutoff point right here. And this area here is just basically a separation between the genitals and the abs. So you want to do that. A little bit of a cut. So fairly nice structured approach to take. Because you can see it immediately just gives this a different look, right? Where everything is sort of going down in that direction. And I'm going to cut in. And when I say cut, I'm using Alt. For those that are unfamiliar with my tutorials, I have a few here on Digital Tutors, and when I say cut, I'm actually cutting, so I'm using negative, okay? And then when I say add, I'm sculpting. It's just a traditional sculptor talk, I guess, because I've done a little bit of clay sculpting, and that's just how I think now. So after cutting in the space for the external obliques, I'm actually going to add them back. But the reason I did that is because now I have a little line in between the abs and the external obliques that you can see right there. And that makes it really nice looking. And we're just blocking it out. It doesn't mean this is how it's going to be. We're sketching it out. It's okay to do it rough or exaggerate it for now. We'll fix it later on. So don't worry about it too much. And just thinking about it, it's a little high. A little high. Maybe this is a little better. And then you can sort of dip this in here. Like so. Careful not to have too much volume here that is not sort of smoothed out. So something like this here, you can definitely add in this direction, the gluteus medius. Again, this is leg muscle talk, but you should be aware of what's going on down here if you follow the other tutorials. If you didn't, just sculpt in this shape right here. You'll see that it gives us a nice rounded leg piece. And again, it goes nicely into the external obliques. Now I'm going to add a little bit of form to the rib cage, just as a single piece here to sort of separate it. And it's a little bit too much now, but I'm going to push it back. Now that that's done, it's a little bit better. A little bit straighter, but it's still rounder, as you can see. This is the important bit, right? Keep it straight, but make sure it's nice and round. I'm also going to add a couple things that are sort of bothering me. I'm going to add the neck muscles right here. And again, they attach to the sternum and to the clavicle, but most importantly to the sternum. Everybody puts it to the clavicle. That is incorrect. So make sure you do that. Just by pulling with the standard brush, you'll already get a really nice result right there. And then finally, to wrap this one up, I'm going to add the clavicle. The clavicle isn't going to be straight, but in females it generally tends to look straight. Most people, they look straight, but what you want to adjust is from the top. You want to give it a little bit of a sway right there, and then pull it forward. And it looks straight, but it's actually not. It's actually a little S shape, right? So that's pretty good. Keep in mind to not pull this too much off the surface. You don't want to generate a problem, but we're getting there. So let's go ahead and continue sculpting in the next lesson.